Hey guys, this is going to be a tutorial on film scoring in FL Studio. More of an introductory tutorial. We're not going to go in depth on how film scoring works, how to write film music. This is more of an introduction on my film scoring method in FL Studio. Now I want to say that FL Studio may not be the best digital audio workstation out there to do film scoring in because it lacks some basic things. You can't change tempo in the playlist. You kind of have to keep track of that yourself using markers or just trying to remember. And you can't really sync the SMPTE time or frame rates in the video. You kind of have to just use what FL Studio gives you. But those of you who really love FL Studio and might want to use it for doing film scoring, this is a introductory guide on how to do that. And when you start doing bigger jobs, really professional jobs, mainstream media and stuff, you're probably going to want to look into using something else other than FL Studio. That being said, let's get into doing this. This here is an animation I did for a commercial for a company called Marmite. Marmite is something from, I think it's mostly UK based, and some people know about it in Australia. It's similar to Vegemite. Most of us in the US never heard of it before. I didn't hear of it before this. And their marketing campaign is either you love it or you hate it, and you can see that in the ads. So there are ads for people showing people loving it and showing people hating it, and there's always two sides to it, and it's kind of funny. So this one is Marmite hate. So yeah, sorry, I kind of ruined the plot of this short animation. But let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do after you have the job of doing music for an animation is you want to watch it. You want to understand what's going on. And hopefully you'll have the final cut. If you don't have the final cut, they're most likely going to change it. And that means you're going to have to go back and change all the music you did and make the timings fit. In film scoring, it works that way, where music comes after they have the final cut, because you are going to be writing music to fit their animation. They don't write music to they don't make the animation to your music. They'll just make the animation and then get a composer afterwards. So like I said, we're just going to look at this. We're not going to watch the whole thing yet. We're just going to kind of watch it, get a feel. And the first thing to do after, when you're watching it, just start brainstorming ideas of what you want to do. Start to develop a concept of the score that you're going to create. So, you take your time, kind of see what the film is about. And we're going to fast forward all the brainstorming. When you actually get down to the technical side and start actually putting work down, first thing you could do is, maybe play around on the piano. Just like look at a still image, and maybe you can kind of play around with, melodies, chord progressions. Just kind of look at a still image, like look at the background of this scene right here, kind of play around, play out your ideas. But the first thing you want to do before actually putting music down is establish a tempo. The tempo I have is 103, and it works really well. And what you want to do with that tempo is, let's say if I am at 89, you can see at different points of the film, I can go skip around and see where things are happening musically on the downbeats. And with film music, you're probably not going to stay in one single time signature. It's usually going to skip around a lot, because animators don't think about, let's stay in 4/4 time at 103 beats per minute so the composer can easily fit music down. It doesn't work that way. They're going to animate the way they want to in their own time, and they're not even going to think about you until later. I mean, they're not going to be consciously animating, thinking, this will be great for a 3/4 bar with a tuba solo or something. No, it's going to come afterwards. So then the next thing you want to do after that is you want to think about the hit points, sync points. These are kind of the similar terms that we use in film scoring. But you want to see what you want to hit, and that's on you for watching the film and understanding and seeing what in particular you want to hit. Like, for example, let me see if I can go back to my original tempo here. Now, see the Santa Claus here. He's on the roof and he falls down. I want to hit that, and then there's a part here where he's falling down. I want to be able to show that in my music. And since it's animation and there's no sound effects, it's our job to personify the sound effects, the actions going on the screen. And it could be very tricky since there's going to be a lot of material to make to personify every single little action you see on the screen. So I'm going to kind of show you guys what I do here. I put markers down using the time markers. So you can go up to the menu here, go to, it's kind of like file, it's kind of like an arrow in the left corner. Go to time markers. And you can add a marker and you can call it whatever you want. So there, the marker will always be here at the end, and you just drag it to where you want to put the marker. So this comes before any music is actually written down. Or you can push Alt-T and then type in something for your marker. So you write something pretty relevant. Let's say Santa. Almost wrote Satan there, sorry. Just like that. Now we can drag it wherever we want. We can, it'll snap to the grid here, but, you can make it not snap to the grid. That's always helpful too. So let's look at these hit points that I have. I have him falling. When his feet come into view, he hits the ground. And you see his hand here. And the snack, this is a hard cut to the snack coming in view. He's running here. He hits the ground. And see, he's totally hitting the ground completely. He's out of the picture, and you can see that he has just impacted the ground. And then here it says, come up in my marker. And he's slowly creeping up to the snack here. And these are hit points I decided to myself, like, these are pretty important. This is what I want to hit in my music. This is pretty important. He bites into it. And here's a big change of emotion. He's kind of upset. I kind of just did this emoticon here. And here's another big change of emotion. He was pretty upset here. And then now he's pretty like in awe of the Christmas tree. Kind of feeling the Christmas spirit again, I guess. And then he kicks the tree. This is important here too. This is probably one of the more important things to get right, because it's a big moment and it's the end right here. It's pretty comical too. So this is very precise, and I'm fortunate that it lands somewhere straight on the beat. I mean, yeah, it's on the upbeat of 3, but that comes from me picking the right tempo. And here's another. This is the second part. There's not really much to hit here. So basically what you're doing is you're making these hit points, hit them with your music, make it musical, and you just fill in the blanks in between. So let's watch the entire thing from the beginning. Pay attention to what I'm doing here at the top with the hit points and what's going on the screen. Not so much what I'm doing here musically with the MIDI and stuff, but just listen and look at the hit points and see how I put everything together. So yeah, that's it. That's only 1 minute and 5 seconds of music, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And let's kind of go look into what I know. I showed you all the hit points, but let's see what I actually did musically here. So this first one is pretty simple. He's falling down. And let's see what I used to kind of personify that. Now this clarinet line kind of descending. It's kind of playful. It's kind of a lighthearted feel still on the screen. And here his feet come into view. He's squirming and shaking to get out, to fall down. And you know, that's why I have the sleigh bells kind of doing its shaking roll thing. Here I didn't mark it, but I was actually able to show the bag hitting the ground with a simple bassoon line here. I use this harp gliss here to bring in more music. It's kind of a transitional thing because he whips out the bag from behind him to put down presents. And right here where I have hand, it shows his hand, you know, putting presents down. But I actually don't really hit this. It's more of the feel of the music I wanted to hit. See, this is what this is one of the hits that I actually didn't use. Something very small, minor detail here. Kind of have this flute trill, if you can see. I don't know if you can see it. He kind of sniffs around for the snack. Kind of do that with the flute trill here. Taking some steps towards the snack, and then eventually he trips. So I'm using these pizzicato notes to show him walking over, being kind of clumsy, and he slips, falls forward. And bigger hit even when he falls, hits the ground. And you know, guys, like I'm doing these things, like it sounds, you know, major thirds ascending chromatically, those sort of things, talking about music theory and understand music and all that. It really just comes from me understanding film and animation music, watching a lot of films, watching a lot of animation, and listening to this kind of stuff. It goes with the research. It goes with the study of composition and film composition, you know, as you grow as a musician. So we're not really going to talk about this stuff too much, but this is just what I used here. It's sort of a chromatic thing going on. And everything is important musically. You know, dynamics, what notes you use, that goes, again, with the research you do, part of the study you do as a composer, learning about music. So yeah, I have the dynamics going up here, probably from like about piano to mezzo forte as he's rising up. Kind of helps with a feeling of him creeping up on it. This is another minor detail here. Sorry. He stands up and he picks it up, and I kind of show that here in the music with a nice piano, high pizzicato, and a bell sound. This is a very big moment, so I kind of went all out with full major triads ascending up. And here's an obvious change of emotion. So we're going on to the next part where he's upset. And he's kind of stomping around, so there's some rhythm on the screen. So I made this part a little bit more rhythmical. I kind of had like a snare drum and bass thing going on here. Let me mute everything and just play the percussion. So, I mean, that's pretty rhythmical. So, you know, like I said before, we're just kind of filling in the blanks from hit point to hit point, but still there's a musical coherence throughout the entire thing, and that's part of the art of film scoring. here are some very, very precise moments that I'm hitting. He's winding up, he's scooping in all the presents into the bag. And I even managed to hit the part when he slings it on his back completely. And him taking slow steps towards the furnace. And this is a important dramatic moment here. He's kind of regretting what he did. He's kind of upset. And I have this flute part here to kind of show that emotion that he's having. So this is coming from the emotion on screen from the character. Of course, this is a big moment too, so I had to hit this definitely. When he's looking at the tree and he's seeing, you know, all the glorifying things of Christmas, and he's probably thinking it in his head. And so that's what I kind of showed here in the music. And earlier what I said about having that coherence, all this stuff that I'm writing, all the thematic elements, all the motifs, the melodies, the chord progressions and everything, it's all derived from the very beginning part here. And some of the other ideas that I had, it's all coherent. Everything is related. You know, I mean, they wouldn't put anything in this film that has no meaning. They wouldn't, I mean, sometimes they do, but most of the time, good filmmakers and animators don't arbitrarily just put things that are symbolic in their film. And the same would go for music. I mean, it's just that much more effective if you can have that coherence in your score. And I was fortunate enough to have this land on a good upbeat here. It actually doesn't feel too abrupt, even it comes on the upbeat of 3. It still seems pretty in time. In this next section here, it miraculously, I didn't even take this into consideration, but it so happened that it's exactly 2 measures in 103 beats per minute, and it fit just right, this ending section. So this has a little bit of backstory on how I did this. They wanted that classical, you know, orchestral piece that you hear in old cartoons where the sun is rising and people are waking up. Let me play a little bit of that. I mean, we kind of recognize that, right, from cartoons. But I made this kind of my own thing. I took a little bit of the same notes, the same kind of melodic shape, and I took the template of that orchestral layout with the bassoon and some of the woodwinds and kind of emulated that sound, made it my own thing, and took motivic ideas from my score earlier. And it worked out pretty well. And that's it. This is where the credits roll. They didn't want any music for the credits rolling at the end. Just kind of wanted to fade out the bell hit. And that's that. Stick around for more tutorials coming. I'm going to try to make more tutorials on the stuff that you guys want. So please let me know if you want to know any more about film scoring or film scoring FL Studio or anything else really. I think next time we'll talk about more of the technical stuff, getting into bigger scores, bigger orchestra stuff, the epic stuff that you guys really wanted to see. And hopefully maybe I'll start something on video game scoring too. Until then, thanks.